And we start off with an ambulance, and Matt and Nick Jackson are being taken away. Hangman is there looking concerned. Omega comes out, says, turn the cameras off. But maybe this is going to air on All Access. So the cameras keep rolling. They have no respect here for a potential tragedy. And Paige opts to leave with Matt in the ambulance, but Callis holds Omega back. He's got a big match tonight. So Omega is very torn here as his best friends are taken away from a mystery assailant or assailants. And dude, you've got a match of the year to put on tonight.
Oh, I know.
Don Callis was Twitter here, representing what the priority was tonight.
Yes, he was. Hey, a rare parking lot attack angle here in AEW, at least.
Very much an NXT vibe to start off the show.
It really is. I mean, it's unusual to start the show off. Yeah, to start the show off with any sort of angle and not a wrestling match or even like a talking segment. So this is unlike AEW to do it. And I like the change up once in a while, especially when you have a big story that you're trying to set up.
Alex Marvez just barges into Kenny Omega's locker room, which is a scenario that did not go well the last time.
No, it did not. No.
And Omega's arguing with Don Callis that he should have gone to the hospital. And Don Callis was great in the segment for what it needed to be. He is just dismissing injuries happen. I sent Nakazawa to the hospital. Don't worry about it. And then Don Callis, like clearly seeing this man is just beside himself that his friends are in the hospital, says that them getting attacked and sent to the hospital might have been the best thing that happened to us because now you can focus. They'll be fine in a few months. The god of pro wrestling is back and it starts tonight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very interesting. Really, I mean, the most I think overt, tell that Callis is behind this entire thing.
Oh, we would get more overt later. Yes.
Yeah, but we don't know who he's aligned with. I mean, they want you to think that he's aligned with the BCC, but I don't know if that's. I think that's a misdirect. But yeah, I thought this was a good setup for the closing segment here.
Before the show ends, Shivani gets into the ring. He's interviewing Kenny, and Kenny is stating how he questions if he can still keep doing this. But before he can finish his thought, the BCC jump him, and Excalibur surmises they jump the Bucks, and now they're going after Kenny. And the ambulance returns in the parking lot, and it's being driven by Hangman Page. The whole crowd is chanting cowboy shit as they continue to stomp on Omega, and Hangman chases them out with a 2x4. He had Janice here with the nails coming out of the 2x4. And they take off.
Janice has entered the forbidden door.
Yeah, Janice Carter making her debut here on AEW programming. And then with Omega down, Don Callis walks up from behind Hangman, and Hangman turns around. He doesn't know who's there. And then Callis takes a phantom bump onto the mat. And then Kenny comes to, and he sees Callis down, and he starts questioning Hangman and gets upset and storms off, leaving Hangman. So I thought this was a little bit too much for me. Like I like the idea of what they're doing here. That Hangman and Omega, they're still at odds here. But this is one of those angles where I hate when the babyface is put into the situation of looking so inept. Like for all intents and purposes, should he not see this replay and have nothing to do with Don Callis, who is clearly manipulating him?
Well, sure. I mean, that type of logic would defeat a lot of professional wrestling storytelling. Aren't the Bucks watching this? Isn't Kenny going to rewatch this? Isn't Paige going to rewatch this afterwards?
Ask, is it that great an angle? Are there ways to have done this without making it so?
Can't you say this about
that giant hole?
Like the entire bloodline thing? Wouldn't Jay have seen Roman talk to Heyman after he left the room? And when Heyman asked him, did you get what you're looking for? Wouldn't that lead Jay to feel suspicious? I mean, I just think at some point we have to suspend.
They've actually called that stuff out in the bloodline angle.
Yeah, but not consistently.
When they saw Jay talking to Sammy in the parking lot, and
we complained about how rare that was and how inconsistent it was with the rest of this type of storytelling. I didn't hate it, John, because I think occasionally
I did not hate this, but to me it did come off to me as just, I think at times they overthink some of these angles a bit too much.
Yeah, maybe. I just know that this is the path that they needed to go. They need to draw the scent between. Yeah, they're making us work for the Kenny Omega, Young Bucks, Hangman Page reunion, and they're going to use Don Callis to, drive that wedge in between them. Don Callis this whole time has been manipulating these, likely facilitating all of these attacks on the Bucks and everybody else. And he's going to be the one to, that Page and Omega and the Bucks will have to team up with in order to defeat after this.
I love the story. Like, the reunion story is a great story. I could go for a little bit more of us being left as to where, like, leaving some question for you. And
I think the question is whether or not the BCC are involved. And I think that's the mystery. We know Callis now has turned, but we don't know who he sided with.
Next week, everybody, it all begins. WrestleMania week coverage. We want to note off the top that we will be doing live shows Monday through Friday next week on the Post Wrestling Cafe. So this will not be in place of our free content. We will still be doing Raw and Dynamite next week. But if you are a Cafe member, you will be getting shows daily covering all of the many Mania shows. We have some guests that are going to be lined up, and I'm going to break my cardinal rule away, and we are going to announce our first guest for WrestleMania week. Joining us next Monday, if the planets align, we will be kicking off our post-wrestling WrestleMania week coverage with Speedball Mike Bailey, who is set to have quite the week in and around Los Angeles, coming off that GCW main event on Sunday in Toronto. So looking forward to having Speedball Mike Bailey on next week. Many others to come. PostWrestlingCafe.com, your place to be next week for all things WrestleMania. And then live Saturday and Sunday night immediately after each night of WrestleMania here on the Post YouTube channel. So all we ask, subscribe and circulate the word out there. The world needs more Way.
Sure, and the world needs more John, and we'll be very, very busy next week. It's our playoffs. It's our busiest week of the entire year, and we're going to do our best to make your subscriptions worthwhile.
Yeah, my whole family is sick right now, and they're all just laughing, knowing you're going to be next. You're going to be next. It's like, no, I'm not. I will avoid any illness. So anyway, that's all to come.